Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. I'm sat in the greenhouse having a little rest because I'm feeling completely exhausted, to be honest with you. So today is Thursday, and as this video goes out on Sunday, we are currently away. We're at a wedding, so we're having a great time. But I've had very, very little time at the plot recently, and it's thrown me for six. I've gone from going to the plot every single day, having so much momentum, making loads of videos, just loving, just having the best time. I've gone back to work, it's quite stressful, and the clocks have changed as well, and it's just thrown everything off. I feel completely like I've lost all the momentum. I've come down the plot today, I have no plan, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. You've seen me like this many times before. So what we're going to do is what I always like to do when it feels like this, it feels a bit panicked, it feels a bit fraught, I'm a bit chaotic. I'm just going to take a nice deep breath and I'm going to give you a little tour. I'm going to show you what's growing. It's going to enthuse me. Hopefully you're going to enjoy it, and it will give me a good idea of what to do next. I haven't been spending much time here, but there are a few little things to show you. We had a night just the other day where I came to the allotment really quick just to put some fleece on things. I came into this greenhouse and I genuinely looked at this and my heart stopped. And I thought, oh my God, someone has stolen my plants. Where have all my seedlings gone? It's just so completely stupid. I'd just forgotten that I've moved most of my seedlings into the second greenhouse behind me. There are one or two things in here though that I do want to show you. And the first is this lovely little honeysuckle that I bought from a garden centre. A bit of a guilty pleasure, but I thought that would be really nice to have on the allotment. And one of the other few things that are currently growing in here are of course the gutter peas, which are showing an absolutely fantastic germination. I'm just going to wait until they're a few inches tall, kind of maybe 3 or 4 inches, and then pop those straight out. Literally the only other thing growing in here is this big old pot of calendula, which is in desperate need of pricking out really. I normally just bung a few handfuls of those into little, just into little pots like this, and they get away, do quite nice, and then I just stuff them in the ground and you get lovely little clumps of calendula. There's still lots of potatoes just scattered around chitting, so they can go in the ground soon. These are kind of main crops. I'll wait a few weeks and put some of those in. Outside, I think things are starting to look really good. The field beans, these have just exploded. This is a really good example of just post-equinox, everything just really enjoying this mild weather, and they've like doubled in size since I last looked at them. They were just a green manure. I have tried eating some of the tips of these. Jesse at Plot 37 said they're good for eating. Not for me, I must say. They just taste like grass in my experience. Maybe they need cooking or doing something a bit more special with them. And just over here, the leeks. The leeks are just starting to put on some fatness. Now that it's warming up, I think these are going to start fattening up, and I'm really, really glad because they were looking pretty crap. Over here, oh, this was good. This is very good. I was driving to the allotment the other day and saw a skip. Did an emergency stop because I saw all sorts of timber in there. There's some here and there's loads here as well, which is just, you know, I can't really go past a skip or something like that with decent wood. Some of this is pulled from the allotment skip as well. And this is going to be for making the raised bed in the second greenhouse. And look over here, look at this. We've just got the first sprouting broccoli coming into head. So I'm going to take some of that today. We'll have our first harvest in quite a long time, to be honest, from the plot. So, some of the cabbages just starting to go to seed. Not particularly surprising. I didn't hold much hope for these, but yeah, never mind, eh? Most of the seedlings now are in the second greenhouse, and this just fills me with delight. It is such a beautiful sight in here at the moment, and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time showing you what's going on. The first thing to mention is this tiny little thermometer. I mentioned recently that I'd got a little min-max thermometer. It's kind of crappy green thing. It was about a tenner off Amazon, and a few comments recommended this Govee thermometer. I'll put a link in the description. So far, I've been pretty impressed with this. One of the ones that people recommend for greenhouses in particular is called the Sensor Push, but that is now over £100. It's a really good bit of kit. I think the real special thing about the Sensor Push is that it's waterproof. this thing does not look waterproof, but an absolute bargain in comparison. And it's got a little Bluetooth feature. So when I arrived at the plot today, I was able to get my phone out and just see the last kind of 4 days of data for what this was doing. And I'll put a little screenshot on the screen now. And I've been really pleasantly surprised by how warm it stayed in the greenhouse. Lows of 7 degrees, when outside it dropped to 2. So that was in the first greenhouse, which is, I think, warmer than this second greenhouse. So I've just moved the thermometer into here. I'm going to monitor the temperature in here for a little while and see how it compares to the first greenhouse. And it might be that actually the tender stuff does stay in there. The biggest change in here since you last saw is this new little shelving unit. It's nothing special, just a little Wilco job. You've seen these before, just the little plastic connectors in the corner and the metal poles. Probably not going to last forever, but it'll do a sound job for a little while. And it's just looking really good. These Cosmos, still a little leggy, but they should come back. That tray of peas looking really healthy. These brassicas, mostly cabbages that I sowed, absolutely pants, really. Bad compost, but a little bit of seaweed fertiliser is just about getting them through. Some of them look a little bit healthier, but I've got another tray of brassicas that just look so much better. Spring onions, invisible. They've just not germinated. I think old seed, just a bit rubbish. Big question, and something I was really hoping to find today was that most of my tomatoes had germinated. Unfortunately, we've only got one. I think in the distance there, that is the black strawberry, which has maybe just germinated. It could also be a weed though. So no germination just yet on the tomatoes. I'm gonna make sure they stay under cover. And then down here, oh, peas. Look at this, loads of peas, really good germination. Maybe too many, I don't know. These are in the kind of root trainers and the container-wise mimic root trainers, looking really good. Really happy with these. And over here, we've just got some salads starting. This is iceberg lettuce, which I'm hesitant to put out at that size just because it's gonna get slugged pretty quickly. The spinach behind it, not looking too good either, but hopefully I can get some of those out soon and they won't immediately die. Lots of other nice germination in here, some sorrel, marigolds, that kind of thing. And then over on the big shelves, look at these broad beans. They just look fantastic, don't they? They are ready to go out. I put these in nice big cells just because I was a little bit worried about how long they'd stay in the greenhouse, but really hardy. I just didn't want to put them out just before a cold snap. So I think I might get some of those out today. That would be a really nice job to get started with. Some really mixed germination on this beetroot seed. Look at this, some of the cells really good, some just nothing. A mix of Detroit, Georgia, and Bolt Hardy. And then here, Steve the cucumber, which has been brought out far too early compared with the unnamed monster cucumber, which I recently brought into the greenhouse and covered with fleece during the cold snap. Pulled through lovely, and I'm hoping will now enjoy its new home. I think I'm going to bring the rest of my cucumbers up next time I come to the allotment, to be honest. There's a little bit of chance of some cold temperatures, but I think it's just they're going to be better off in here with natural light than they will be under my spare grow light. If you missed my indoor update, you can see that linked up here where I show some of the other cucumbers and other things indoors. The next tray down here, this is the last shelf really for my seedlings, but look at these brassicas in comparison. Just a really healthy tray. I have given away loads of cabbages and all of that kind of stuff already. And oh, we just got such a good mix of things here. Some of the sprouts, some of the celeriac has germinated, which is really good. These tiny little ones, you can see they're definitely going to need thinning out, but they can be tricky to germinate. So I'm quite happy with that. Oh, one thing I do want to do today is parsnips. We'll talk about that. Got some purple sprouting broccoli on the go and some nice purple kale as well. And there's more. I nearly forgot about these, the shallot sets, which I thought were kind of done for. They looked really unhealthy. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just stick them in this tray. There's no drainage in this, so it's a little bit risky. And we'll see. We'll see if they're going to come to life or not. And they have. So I'm just going to stick them out when I next get a minute. And we've got a little salad tray over here. which I've been a bit bold putting that on the floor, but it's not been slugged just yet. So I'm so happy with the Seedling Progress this year. I was a little bit worried about how silver grow was going to work and how things were going to take to that, but I think it's done really well compared to the New Horizon compost I had. There's probably lots I could be starting to successfully sow. Some of the salads, maybe some of the brassicas. I need to have a little think about sowing in April and really come up with a bit of a planting plan. But for now, let's go and have a look at the new plot and see how that's developed, because ooh, it's sort of good and sort of bad. The initial view of the new plot, I don't think it looks amazing because of the foreground. This is this is what I'm calling the working area. Okay, so this is where all the rubbish is getting dumped and it's gonna find a home. You know, we're gonna move all this eventually. Loads of cardboard and stuff up there for the no-dig beds eventually. But we are making amazing progress. It's just there's one or two things that really, as I'm looking at this, you know, all I see is the work to do here. These bloody fences that just keep falling down. Next door has been informed about their greenhouse. The council have phoned them up and unfortunately they've chosen to leave it. And those fences are next doors as well, you know, so I don't want to mess around with it too much. But in terms of actual bed area, we have made some amazing progress. Jess and I came down after work just on Monday and converted this whole quarter into a wonderful little no-dig area. So we've used these pallet collars to make little beds. They're not quite raised beds, they're more like edges, but there's just one bag of compost, so 80 litres of manure in the bottom of here, which is a pretty hefty layer. And then we've got another nice little one over here. I'm going to wait and see what this tree is and what it decides to do before taking any drastic action. And we've also down here got a series of what I think are probably gooseberries. So I've just wood chipped all this. It's got a nice layer of cardboard mulch underneath, and it has just instantly transformed this area. It's not a perfect, efficient use of growing space, but we'll get there in time. And what I might do is use one or two of these as a little parsnip area, I think. And just behind me, the first no-dig bed on the allotment is still looking pretty good. We're just starting to get some of the dandelions are pushing through, which isn't the end of the world. I'm just going to go through hand weeding those. Just seen a bag of compost fly across the plot in the wind. And the onions in here look like they've taken fairly well. So all in all, I'm trying to stay really positive about the new plot. We've done absolutely loads in, I think, a really short amount of time. I'll spin you around as well. Where here we have the potato growing area. There's 3 lines of early spuds in here now. Hopefully you saw the video on this. I didn't go no dig here in the end just because it felt right to dig these potatoes in. We got the rhubarb hiding away in there nicely, and a little bit of prep work has gone into this, which is going to be another no dig growing area. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to grow there just yet, but also as well at the back, my parents have been putting in some work. They've done 1 shift so far, but they got absolutely loads done. They've got a couple of bits of carpet up that you can see here, and they've made really good progress in this little section especially. Some of the fruit is just coming into flower as well. I hadn't noticed this. Is there anyone in the comments who can identify the tree from these flowers? I'm not sure, but that's nice. I wasn't expecting that. I just looked up and there it was. You can see all the clippings and the brambles that my parents have stacked up here as well. Very kind. So they're enjoying that. They were just down on Monday because the weather the rest of this week has been appalling. I love plot tours so much. They're so good for me. I'm really glad it just so happens that people enjoy watching them, but they just really slow me down. You know, they make me stop and just appreciate how much work we've done on the new plot. And it just stops my mind racing and thinking what needs to be done next, what needs to be done next. There is so much that I could do, but what I think I'm going to do is have a go at the parsnips. If you don't know as well, the Potty Mouth Garden Club are doing a bit of a parsnip challenge. So I've got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping we're going to have some good success. I just think it'll be really nice to do it in some of those little raised beds behind me. Took me a little while, but I found the Parsnip Seeds Gladiator F1. These ones are from Seed Parade. Lots of discussion about which company is best this year, and we're going to see. The proof is going to be in the pudding with who has the best ones. I'm really not sure how well parsnips are going to do in a fresh, no-dig bed. We're on quite heavy clay soil. It's just, you know, we're just going to see, okay? We're just going to see. I'm not putting in too much effort, and that's good because it means when it fails, it won't feel like a lot of wasted effort. Long-time viewers might remember as well, the plan was to give Jess, my partner, my fiance, some of these beds to do cut flowers in. And while she was away recently, I actually sat down with all her flower seeds and thought, okay, I'm gonna get some started for her. And I realized that like 90% of the seeds that Jess had bought, she does all the flowers and I focus on the veg. And 90% of the seeds that she has are for sowing in situ. And I would be really grateful if you guys could give me some suggestions for things you could start a little bit early. I guess now we can start things in situ, it's warmed up a bit, but when I was looking, it was a few weeks ago. It's still a little bit cold. So if you guys have got any suggestions for things that transplant really well, flowers that do really nice, please do let me know in the comments. Parsnip time. I would love to say that I'm quietly hopeful about these parsnips, but I'm expecting nothing. I do not have good luck when it comes to any root veg germination, really. Carrots are my absolute nemesis. And there's a few different ways you can do parsnips, but apparently they can take up to between 15 and 30 days to germinate. And that sounds agonizing. I am lucky in that there's not much weed germination in here, so it should be clear at least what is parsnip. One of the things I struggle with carrots is you just always got weeds germinating. I have something called fumitory on my allotment, which grows absolutely crazy. It looks very similar to a little carrot seedling. So what I'm going to be doing is creating individual dibs for this parsnip instead of sowing in drills, because parsnip plants get really big. They're going to spend a long time in the ground. So I've got 3 by 4 basically, and I'm not expecting most of these to germinate, so I've just dibbed out the little holes, about 15 centimeters between each dib and 30 centimeters between each of the rows. We're going to scatter, I'm going to go quite heavy, kind of 5 or 6 in each of these holes, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope. To be honest with you, sowing that many seeds is probably a little bit wasteful, but one of the things about parsnip seed is you apparently want it as fresh as possible. Nearly forgot the seed packet. And there's still loads of seeds here. And you can't really use this next year. So if you're giving this a go, you might as well chuck quite a few in. Just remember to thin them out. Let's have a look at where I want to put the broad beans next, I think. After a little bit of thinking, I think I might put them here in this bed that kind of lines the walkway to the greenhouse. And I have made plans for the allotment and what is going where, but I've made about 3 or 4 and they keep changing. Where I'm kind of converting the back plot and that plan keeps changing. It's all a bit ad hoc, but the broad beans are definitely ready to go out. And if I put them here, it gives me a bit of an excuse to have to clear away some of this stuff as well, which I think would be quite a good idea. Anyway, I think this is a good time for me to thank my Chili Pepper tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Louise, Michael, and Pam. Thank you ever so much for your support and the support of all my patrons. I think we're going to leave it for here today, and hopefully when I am back next week, I'll be able to spend a lot more time on the allotment. I really need to spend some time in the greenhouse getting lots of things sown, and hopefully the broad beans will be in as well. Thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.